I'm dreaming of a wet Christmas, just like the ones we've never known, where aircraft spray and temperatures stay in double figures with no snow. COP21 has finished with a deal to deindustrialize. If you don't care, we will create a scare, so you'll believe our carbon conning lies. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV. And welcome to this December morning. It's 9:30, I've had a walk around. I went down to the river early and I'll just show you what I found out. Well, I've decided to have a walk down the river here on this very, very warm day here in Oxford. And I've suddenly realised, I've suddenly seen this. Peace and socialism. There's that sort of anarcho-syndicalist flag there, and the old hammer and sickle. That can only mean one thing. Riney Randall has been here. He got here before me. Riney, how did you do that? Did you have to get a boat? I know, or did you sort of swim out there with a paintbrush between your lips and a can of red paint in one hand? That's quite amazing. Either way, Riney, even though I disagree with you, I've got to admire your tenacity and your dedication. But the lack of graffiti in this area makes me think that Riney has not been around. What we have instead is we have this warm. It's so warm, it's almost unbelievable. And I've said this before, this is really uncanny considering the prediction I made in my last video. The sky is blue. Despite, I mean, it really is amazing. Despite the fact the weather's been wet, it's nice at the moment. But there is some chemtrails over there and some chemtrail clouds there. You can see just the remains of the sylph. There's the sylph structures there. So they've been chemtrailing today. But seeing those snowdrops really freaked me out. I think most of you know this already. But when I'm not making videos and presenting radio shows and writing on the HPANWO blog about conspiracy theories, etc., I'm actually a gardener. And I was amazed to see the snowdrops. I mean, I've never seen them out in December before. Never before. Normally they sort of come around about sort of February time. And you get the daffodils and crocuses and things, spring flowers. They all come out. It's like weird. Jam Noise 72 said she saw daffodils in London. And London is always slightly warmer than the rest of the country because it's a big city. Which why did we see them here though in Oxford? No sign of them yet, but there is. You just see the splash of flowers occasionally. The sad thing is though, if we get a frost now, those flowers are all going to die. I think it's spring. Poor things. Sad. But are we going to get a frost? I don't think we're going to, you know. I really do. Like I said in the last video, mark my words, it's online. I'm not going to take it down and edit it. I said I had a feeling that this weather would continue. And the question is why? Why is it going to continue? Well, of course, this is what I said before. I think it was to do with the COP21. I think it's hammering home the message that climate change is real, it's man-made, we've got to do something about it. As I said, that's a very politically charged event meant that it was necessary to put forward a deal. And the deal they put forward was one even more extreme than I thought they were going to put through. As I explained in the last video, I thought, I mean, I wrote an article called Blood Rain because we're having dust from the Sahara apparently, and it was. I looked on Thursday night. I looked out my window and we had a purple sunset. A purple sunset. Unbelievable. I said that I thought they were going to have another deal about reducing carbon emissions, so much carbon emissions by a certain time period, but instead the deal was centered around temperature control. The aim was the factor, the deciding variable was temperature, and everything else changed around that variable. Everything else had to be altered to account for that variable. So if it's necessary to reduce, say, the most industrialized country in the world, China, they might decide, well, in order to prevent the world's temperature going above 2 degrees, we have to reduce China's carbon emissions by 90%. If you reduce that means effectively reducing China's industry by 90%. Reducing China's industry by 90% is effectively reducing the world's industry by about 70%. And we've seen it in these New World Order documents like not Project for the New American Century, the report from Iron Mountain, Between Two Ages, the Technotronic Era, the Grand Chessboard. They talk about, and of course the Club of Rome. They talk about the necessity for deindustrialization. Oh, lovely. Oh, thank you very much. Someone's just told me there is a... It's got cherry blossom, it's got blossom on it. Amazing. I don't know how he knew, but... I've never seen that in this time of the year before. It's very warm, isn't it?
It's because of the mild weather.
Yeah. Yeah. That gentleman, just told me that there's a tree with blossom on it. I'm just going to go and have a look at it. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Let's go and have a look at it. Thanks. I can well believe it. Anyway, the Club of Rome, these environmental think tanks talk about how humanity is a cancer on the earth, and that's the Georgia Guidestones, but it's all connected. Being on a cancer upon the earth, the Georgia Guidestones. The aim for the idea of the New World Order is to deindustrialise the world, to have a far smaller population, less than 500 million people, and live in an effectively complete totalitarian resource-based control. So there'd be effectively no free economy. There'd be a resource-based planned economy, which is really a very effective. We're talking here about a very extreme form of communism. I can't see. I'm at the bowling green now. I'm just here. There's a sweet little doggy.
Morning.
Oh, morning. Hello. That's the bowling green. Yeah, I don't know where he meant. Doesn't matter. The idea is to, like I say, have the vision for the New World Order is a very extreme form of communism, this is how the way they'll do it is, of course, they'll frighten us into accepting it. If they can make us believe that we have to do it to save the world. And when I do wonder, I can't remember if I said this in the previous film about climate change, but is it possible that they have the technology to artificially raise the world's temperature by 2 degrees in order so that these imaginary disasters that they've conjured up will become real? In which case we've got to We got to act to save the. Then we got to save the world, not from our carbon emissions, but from these damn geoengineers. From geoengineering. As I've been talking, the sylphs have spread across to the zenith, almost. The sun is now hazy, and there's another chemtrail there. There's still blue over there with natural cloud, but it's been swallowed up. I saw something ridiculous on the news the other day. There was apparently some scientists are concerned because sunlight, the levels of sunlight is increasing. The levels of sunlight are actually increasing. And they don't know why, and they don't know what to do. They can't even get their own lies straight. This is proof that they're telling us lies, because a while ago, a few years ago, there was a TV program called Global Dimming, which was taken off the air partly because it was incorrect, and it was provably incorrect, but also because it was giving people nightmares. The Global Dimming said that for some reason the sun's rays are weakening when they hit the earth. Water is evaporating more slowly, etc., because the sun's rays are less powerful, and they blamed it on smog. They blamed it on particulates in the atmosphere caused by industry. But they contradicted themselves. They used, at one point they did an experiment where they used air from India, which is full of smog, and they measured it alongside pristine air from Antarctica, which has no smog. And they did this experiment to see if they could, they used that as a control. But the thing about it is, earlier in the programme they said that global dimming affected Antarctica too. So they can't even get their lies straight. And that's a good mural. I like that, it's very, very creative. The global... the thing about it is, some of you may well think this is climate change. I don't agree with you, and I've explained why I don't agree, and I've explained why the official story of climate change is false, and it is implanted with rhetoric in order to maintain that falsehood. That's a big red flag when you see things like that. A good example is the No Pressure. This is a film by Richard Curtis, who was with Monty Python and did Blackadder, which is a real shame, because he then went on to direct a very high budget little 2-minute advert, little 2-minute TV ad about reducing carbon emissions. And you got to watch it to believe it, but you won't believe it if I just tell you what it's about if you haven't seen it. Well, we're going to tennis courts. If I were to tell you that it actually features a school teacher, blowing up her children, actually exploding them with bombs, you wouldn't believe me. So don't take my word for it. Just go to YouTube and Google No Pressure Richard Curtis and watch it. And you'll see that it is actually true. Now, that's your big red flag. That is when they start putting in that kind of very extreme propaganda, they're doing it to make up for the fact they have no scientific case. So it's now, what is the 20th? It's almost the solstice. It's almost the shortest day of the year. It's absolutely unbelievable. Well, I've had a lovely Christmas present from the Porter's Poet. It was so lovely, in fact, I posted it here on her HPANWO voice, which is where you'll find it if you want to read it. Now, if you remember, the Porter's Poet, she wrote me a poem about me, and I made a video about it called her HPANWO TV poem. And she's written a couple more since then. And she wrote one called X-Ray Vision, which is on her HPANWO voice as well. And she's written this one. and this is really good. It's called Season's Bleatings, and you can actually, if you go to HPANWO Voice, you'll be able to read it properly. It'll have 'cause it's on script and it's in this tableau form, and it's all done with proper graphics and everything. It's really good, and so it's Season's Bleatings, and this is it. See amid the winter's snow, shall we see how very low your bank balance does seem to go, the season where you can't say no. Look when you get to the end of your tether, look forward to Christmas Eve space weather, a few lunar distances and wider than a mile, an asteroid will pass safely by and with style. But Santa's nowhere to be seen, cola red he used to be green. As you look to the sky, a UFO soars, but never a sighting of Mr. Claus. Apart from downtown in the grotto, and while you're starting to wish you'd won the lotto, a little tot upon his knee, with another gift for under the tree. Pointless presents and trinkets that bring no use or joy are thrown out by spring. Economic Armageddon, they tell us this is where we're heading. Did you camp in the street for your Black Friday wares, or do Cyber Monday deals from your armchairs? For stuff you don't need, you better be fast, for more precious things while stocks last. Subliminal messages in every shop, music that tells you to shop till you drop. A wonderland this winter is not put it on credit, spend all that you've got. They'll be over the moon with their presents, so glad, like the man in the moon on the John Lewis ad. Did we get there at all? At least when they said, do they have Christmas there, or is it just dead? I'm turning into a Scrooge real fast. Your present's your future, so let's make it last. Make this world better, have dignity and pride, and you'll be just fine with truth as your guide. Materialism's the name of the game. Get me off this festive train, non-stop to the start of another year. Where hath gone that Christmas cheer? Rampant consumerism's what it's about, is the message to you if you have any doubt. Christmas high street sales are low. What do you expect if we ain't got no dough? Deck the halls with boughs of holly. All of this is just pure folly. Don't be the crowd, you're not a sheep. Be nonconformist and take that leap. Christmas is coming and the geese are getting fat. Forget that paper crown and all that other tat that's wrapped in your cracker in front of where you're sat. Have tinfoil at the ready, that's my kind of hat. On the 12th day of Christmas the porter gave to me the most amazing gift of HPANWO TV. He opened up my eyes and truly made me see. So I'm leaving him a mince pie and whiskey under his tree. Thursdays for some is for late night shopping, but news, views and reviews with a bit of bopping. Tune into Ben each Thursday at 8. It's HPANWO Radio, don't be late. Christmas is near and the geese are getting fatter. Put HPANWO in HD as your widescreen's getting flatter. I can tell you now, you'll learn a lot from Ben. I think you'll agree, he's the wisest of wise men. We hope that Ben will be merry when opening his bottle of Perry. Red and green will fade away to disclose a shade of grey. Our favourite hospital porter, you know who you are. You're our Christmas gift, the truth of shining star, the humble servant who leads the way to fight for what is true. We don't want a lot for Christmas, just want more of you. That was by The Porter's Poet, and it's, if you read through it, it's all illustrated. She's put lots of little cartoon things in it. It's really, really good. So thanks, Porter's Poet, for that. That's brilliant. And again, there's little elements to this poem, very little subtle hints that you need to be familiar with HPANWO TV and radio too, and the blog to actually understand all the little hints, like the subliminal messages in every shop, and the music that tells you to shop where you've drop, and how we've got high street Christmas sales are low. That's based on a video I made, I think last year or the year before at Christmas. So she's obviously been watching that. And the thing about space weather as well is to do with HPANWO Radio. Now, this is interesting. Now, as far as Christmas goes, I mean, one thing that's interesting about the poem is that she talks about sights of Santa Claus. Now, that's a point, isn't it? Now, this is a good time of year, obviously, to raise this subject about Santa Claus, because, of course, I read books full of reports about encounters with UFOs, ghosts, lake monsters, other cryptids, fairies, elves, gnomes, green men, blue men, pink men, moving castles in the sky, etc., etc., etc. And we're told by skeptics that these things are all a delusion, they're all frauds, they're lies, pies in the sky. But there's one thing missing. How come, if it's all delusion, all comes from inside our heads, it's all based on folklore, it's all projections of our imagination, how come there are no reports from paranormal witnesses, not a single one, of anyone seeing Santa Claus? Unless you know of one, in which case tell me. I've certainly not heard of one. This is the skeptics, their theory is that we encounter supernatural phenomena that we've been culturally programmed with, and this explains a lot of these encounters in mundane terms. So they talk about things like, it's like in the Robert Taylor who who saw a strange object in the woods once. He was walking through the woods in Scotland, he came across this strange spherical object. The skeptics say, well, he saw it on telly the previous week because Doctor Who was on, and there was this thing on Doctor Who, and it looked exactly like this UFO. Well, I don't go along with that, but anyway, but people do not necessarily encounter things that fit in with their belief system or culture. And if it was a valid argument that what we saw in our imaginary projections, which was what paranormal phenomena are, then surely we would see at least a handful of Santas flying over the heads of some guy walking his dog at night on Cannock Chase. Then you would see at least a couple, with a reindeer and the bells ringing and him going ho ho ho. You'd see that. Not many, but you'd see a few. Now, of course, every adult knows that Santa is not real, but then doesn't every adult also know that UFOs and ghosts are not real? See, this is the thing. I mean, even among children, it's rare for a child. A child might pretend they've seen Santa Claus occasionally to their family as a joke, but as a serious paranormal witness, you don't hear children even saying they've seen Santa Claus. Isn't that odd? Very odd indeed. So thanks, Porter's Poet, for actually bringing that subject up. And I'm going to, in the radio show, I'm going to talk about the upcoming radio show in a minute, but I am going to mention this on this upcoming radio show, so I appreciate you bringing that up. I really do. That's really good. Now, she also mentions the moon. Did we get there at all? the Man in the Moon. There's this John Lewis advert, which is a rather strange advert, where there's this guy sitting on a park bench on the moon, and he's communicating with his telescope, and he's sort of looking into the eyes of this girl with a telescope in a house on Earth. It's a very strange advert. Because he's not in a spacesuit, he's just sitting there normally. An old guy just sitting on a park bench, but he's on the moon. Very strange, and of course, you know what my own view is, that the Apollo astronauts didn't actually get to the moon, it was all faked in a studio. But there was a secret space program along with that, when I talked to Andrew Johnson on the radio show about that in a few weeks. So thank you very much, Porter's Poet. I really appreciate this poem, and it's great to be able to publish it, and you did give me permission to publish this. I'm very, very grateful for that. So HPANWO TV viewers, please go to the HPANWO radio blog and enjoy this. So on we go. And finally, I want to thank all of you, each and every one of you HPANWO TV viewers, for everything you've done, your comments, your views, your emails, the lot. Thanks very much. All through this year you've been fantastic. Even the trolls and the abusers, you've provided food for thought and for ridicule, which is always a good laugh, because I like to do a bit of comedy sometimes. This is not going to be my last upload of the year. What's going to happen is I'll be uploading this on or around the time of the solstice, so it'll be around about now. Now, after Christmas and before the New Year, I'm going to upload the last in my series UFO Disclosure 2015. That's going to go up. That's going to contain a lot of information. It's going to be quite a long video, so please look out for that. Now, if any of you are doing anything on Wednesday evening, then could you listen to HPANWO Radio, because I'm actually presenting a HPANWO Radio Christmas special, where I'm going to be playing some Christmas songs. I'm going to talk about Christmas related issues. It's going to be a very informal program, where I intended to be quite interactive, so I'll talk to people in the chat box. So do join the chat box if you can, or email me anything you want to say on the show, you want me to say on the show, any issues you want to address. That's 8 p.m. Wednesday the 23rd of December. Now normally I broadcast on Thursdays at 8 p.m, but this Thursday of course is Christmas Eve. I'm not going to do a radio show on Christmas Eve. Firstly, because I'll be with family and friends, and I'll be having fun with them. Secondly, I'll probably be too drunk to actually operate the studio. Also, I won't be uploading. I won't be doing the. I'm doing a New Year special as well. Also, I'm doing a the following week. That is on Wednesday the 30th of December. I'm going to be doing a HPANWO Radio. This is HPANWO Radio, not HPANWO TV. HPANWO Radio review of the year. So I'm going to go through all the stories of 2015, go through all of them, and just talk about them and see if any issues have come up, etc. That's going to be on a Wednesday too, because Thursday, of course, is New Year's Eve, and if I'm drunk on Christmas Eve, you can bet I'll be pretty sozzled on New Year's Eve. Right. So please tune in for those. To find out details about those HPANWO radio shows, all you have to do is go to www.hpanwo, HPANWO-radio.blogspot.com. Just cross over this road. The sun's in my eyes. Thinking back, because it's almost the solstice. The solstice is tomorrow. The sun never rises very high. Even at midday, it's really still low in the sky compared to in the summer. Well, it remains for me to say to Riney Randall, have an appropriate, non-partisan, ethnically neutral winter festival. But to the rest of you, have a happy Christmas. Hospital Port as pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.